By now, you've heard about the writing cycle and how it plays a role in the construction of written work. This video will serve as a deeper dive into its parts. These are the planning portions of the writing cycle, where we'll be spending most of our time this week. The invention phase is largely cerebral, insofar as it consists mostly of imagining something or actively synthesizing information you already have access to. In the creative context, this looks like the first few steps of considering something you'd like to create and allowing yourself to envision it. Academically, this phase is largely driven by an assignment you have to complete and requires you to consider how the lessons you've learned up to that point can apply to the assignment in question. This is a form of synthesis, a concept that we explored earlier in the course. The collection phase consists of research. It is the time you take looking for any of the information you need to support your ideas. In the organization phase, you combine the work you completed in the previous two phases by reviewing all your notes and creating a map toward your goal. These maps are often called outlines because they lay out the basic structure of what you're aiming to complete. With the planning phase in place, you're prepared to begin drafting. The first draft is still very much an inventive space. It is not realistic to anticipate that a first draft will be perfect because it is still an expression of your brain's thinking processes. This puts all of the elusive or unclear thoughts out of the obscurity of your mind and onto paper so you can look at them and see how well they actually are fitting together. After you've let your mind speak to you via the first draft, it's time to review it for errors. The errors can of course be of a grammatical nature, but they can also be of a content or cohesion nature. This is where you'll identify the parts of your first draft that reveal how an idea you had needs more work, needs to be supported by more research, or needs to be removed. In your second draft, you are making corrections to any previously identified errors, but you are also continuing to add content based on any cohesion or missing information issues you noticed during your last review. Parts of this process will be grounded and feel quite a bit more masterful than the earlier drafting phase. However, other parts of it will veer back into the invention, thinking out loud space, since you will be adding material that has not been previously written. This is how another round of edits can really come in handy. Reviewing the draft again for clarity and function keeps your work aligned with your intentions. Beyond that point, there may be opportunities to return to invention, collection, and organization, but this will depend on whether or not the draft you have after final edits fulfills the purpose that you're aiming to address. It is important to remember when engaging in this cycle that many of the phases are collaborative in nature. Editing, for example, is easier with the aid of a software program like Grammarly and with another set of eyes, either those of a colleague, friend, or instructor. As we proceed into the rest of this week, consider how your knowledge of the full writing cycle can inform the way you're engaging with its initial phases. In fact, keep this idea in mind when engaging with the two phases of the narrative that we'll be reviewing in this activity.